Good morning. Please rise for the singing of this opening hymn, 1050 Jazz Alleluia. Good morning. Good morning. And welcome to the Unitarian Society of Ridgewood. My name is Anita Young, and I am the Sunday Associate this morning. Please take a moment to silence your electronic devices. As I was preparing my greeting for this Sunday, I thought about this space. This is not a church. We have no altar, no cross, as I see at the Westside Presbyterian Church, or the Catholic Church at Our Lady of Marmel here in Ridgewood. It's not a Sikh temple, nor a Jewish synagogue. It's not a mosque. We have no prayer books or religious symbols. Perhaps it's more closely related to a Quaker meeting room. It is an open space where many activities are held. Well, what do we do here? And how do we explain what we believe? We come together every Sunday from various faiths seeking inspiration from our service. We believe in the freedom of religious expression. We believe in the authority of reason. We believe in the never-ending search for truth, and we question, whose truth? We believe in the necessity of the democratic process. We believe in the importance of this religious community in our lives. Here we have met people with whom we feel comfortable and safe being ourselves as we find our own way. So let's begin by turning to our neighbors and greeting them joyously. It is wonderful to be together on this Sunday. We can be different in our beliefs without fear of persecution. We first must seek to know ourselves and acknowledge our own vulnerability, strengths, and weaknesses. We are on a journey to create a better world. And to do that, we must first look within and question ourselves. This morning, as you walked into our sanctuary from the front door, you passed the peace pole with the words, "May peace prevail on earth," written in many languages. We joined a global movement with this all-inclusive message. It reflects our sixth principle, the goal of world community with peace, liberty, and justice for all. It is a meeting place of the heart, bringing together people of all faiths, backgrounds, and cultures to embrace the oneness of our planetary family. You saw a rainbow flag in support of the GLBTIQ community and a banner against racism as we stand against discrimination and inequality. This congregation voted to have these symbols represent us. They represent our beliefs and values. We are a faith constantly evolving, seeking ways to create a world with justice and compassion, protecting equality for all. We are a faith with no dogma. Our faith affirms and promotes 7 principles grounded in humanistic teachings and of world religions. These principles are insignificant unless we agree to live by them. We believe in the beauty of human diversity and the belief in our interconnection. You make a difference by how you live your lives through your actions and words. You have chosen freely to be part of this service and/or faith. You have made a choice. We come together to support and encourage each other to not just speak our truths, but to live them openly with love. Thank you once again for joining us and giving us each the courage to live our lives authentically. Thank you for choosing to be on this journey. This morning, we welcome Karen Greer, who is joining us as part of the New Jersey Leadership Leaves program, which provides from several congregations, 1 minister-led and 1 lay-led service a month. in addition to an emergency pastoral care during Reverend Sarah Lindsay's sabbatical. Karen Greer is a member of a Unitarian Universalist congregation of Monmouth County, the worship committee, and the UU choir. May I share what you told me?
Sure.
She's an opera singer. I lost my place. Karen received her JD from Fordham University School of Law and received the Keith Miller Award and other senior prizes. She also has an LLM from Pace University in environmental law. Karen is licensed to practice law in New York. She practiced at Harris Beach, LLP in Science and Medical Devices Unit, and served as National Coordinating Counsel in various multi-district litigations. The firm was located in 2 World Trade Center, and after the terrorist attack, Karen transitioned to nonprofit management and a nonprofit consultant specializing in restructuring and turning about. Management. Karen served as an interim executive director for a large domestic violence center in New Jersey until March 2024, just passed. This morning, we are also welcome a guest musician, Sheldon Senick. Thank you once again for joining us and giving us each the courage to live our lives authentically. I've been giving more roles this morning. Okay. We invite you to use this time to take a deep breath and center yourself with the ringing tone. You want to do this?
No, you're good.
Okay. Of our singing bowl. I invite you to take a deep breath. We come together like this for a purpose, for the quiet companionship that reminds us we are not alone. Whatever is happening in our hearts and in our world, we are not alone. And in this moment, breathe. Feel the reality of community, of care, of love, as we listen as one, I'll do it again, to this sound. This calls us home. Breathe and listen. Jay. The chalice is a central symbol of Unitarian Universalism, reminding us of the holy spark in each of us and of our interconnection as one family, beautiful in our differences and united in our humanity. Please join in the lighting for the chalice. Jay will light the chalice for us. We light this chalice for the hope of truth, the warmth of love, and the energy of action as we gather together in the circling community.
Tracy Chapman's song is a nice framework for what we're going to be talking about today. But before I start on the opening words, I would just like to thank you for welcoming Jay and I to your beautiful congregation and your lovely space. It's an honor to be here and to help you through your time with your minister who's on sabbatical. So here are our opening words. Welcome to this space, the sanctuary of peace, where we come to not only create our best selves, but to also do the work of creating a beloved community. We come together today as individuals, much like individual pieces of glass that are different shapes, sizes, and colors, all of which are broken with imperfect, jagged edges, but always beautiful. While our pieces may not always fit neatly together, it is within this sanctuary, guided by our principles, that we gather to create a beautiful mosaic. Make the brokenness and beauty you find in one another create peace in this space and in our hearts with love as we create worship together. Amen.
Good morning. My name is Mary Mogerly. I'm the Vice President of the Board of Trustees here at the Unitarian Society of Ridgewood. One of the promises we make to each other in our shared covenant is to support this congregation with our presence, gifts, and services, and to care for each other and the long-term well-being of our community. Please contact our caring team by calling the office and speaking with Ann Peretti. You can let her know if there's something the team can help you with, or if you are that person ready to help someone else. Thanks to everyone who helped last night at our auction gala. It was a wonderful time for everyone, and I'm pleased to tell you that we raised $11,602.16. Yes. Today is our last day to share our plate with Citizens for Swimming. Please give generously to support this longstanding program. The Board of Trustees will present a budget town hall meeting after today's service, and everyone is invited to attend. The offertory will now be collected and gratefully received. Thank you.
I keep popping my peas. Okay. We're now going to enter into a period of meditation. This is called the Peace Ladder Meditation. Of course, it's Unitarian Church, it's optional, right? Everything's optional here. I would suggest that you put both feet on the floor, that you put your hands on your lap, that you have an erect spine, and that you gently close your eyes or find some point in front of you to focus. And we're going to breathe. We're going to do the 3-part Durgat breath. Breathe in through your nose, out through your mouth. Feel your stomach fill up with air. Feel your ribs fill up with air. Feel your chest fill up with air, and exhale. This is a visualization. In your mind, visualize that you're at the top of a ladder. And if you have trouble with heights, you're safe because you have rails and you're holding on to them. And in your mind, you're looking out into the blue sky. And you're safe, and you're peaceful, and you're calm. And we're going to go down 5 steps of the ladder. And every step we take, we're going to become more peaceful. And at the bottom of the ladder, we're going to float back into whatever floating device we like: water, feathers, bed. And we're going to rest in peace and find peace within ourselves so that we can have peace with others. Bless you. We're at the top. We take a step down. Breathe. In, out. Come down another step. Breathe. Step 3, even more gentle and soft. Step 4. Step 5, and we're thinking about laying back, and in our minds, we lay back and we float. Just feel the water around you. Feel the feathers. Feel that peace envelop you, and find your color. Is it blue? Is it gold? Peace. Gently open your eyes in your new, restored, peaceful place.
Each Sunday, as part of taking care of one another, we make time to listen and share in our joys and sorrow. If you have a cause for celebration or something that is bringing you hardship or grief, and you would like to share it with this gathered community, this is that moment. Friends on Zoom, please write into the chat any joys or sorrows you carry. And here in Anderson, we invite you to fill out and bring up a sheet if you haven't already. Please raise your hand if you need a form here in Anderson. We'll just give everybody a moment. Anita Young shares a deepest sympathy to Cecilia Bistrom for the loss of her husband on Wednesday. Cecilia, you are in all of our hearts. We're very sorry to hear that news. Libby has a joy hearing the Orpheus Men's Chorus concert. Thank you to Ron, Libby says. Are there any joys or sorrows in the chat?
We have one from Janice. She had a wonderful respite in Florida with many of her sisters and friends, and it was very healing.
That's great.
And that's all we have online.
Excellent. And anyone else have any that they're still working on here? No. Okay. So with those joys and sorrows, we will all keep them in our hearts. And now we have a reading.
It's not really a reading, it's a recollection. And Reverend Craig, who was here before, told me that I should do this recollection rather than the reading. Okay. This is Justice Bader Ginsburg. She was sworn in as an Associate Supreme Court Justice in August of 1993. I graduated from law school in May of 1993. I knew all about Ruth Bader Ginsburg, however, because my law school professor, Maria Marcus, was a huge fan. In my first year of law school, I was a moot court champion, coming in the top 4 of the final round of the annual school-wide moot court competition. Afterwards, I was both an editor on the Environmental Law Journal, and I was selected to be on the Fordham University School of Law Environmental Law Moot Court Competition, where we placed. Afterwards, I was the inter-school editor, where I coached teams for the law school in national and international competition. Listening to Ruth Bader Ginsburg conduct oral argument at the Supreme Court was part of our moot court training. Our professor had the transcripts, and somehow she also had the tapes. It was required study for everyone, both women and men. When I first heard Ruth Bader Ginsburg conduct oral argument, I thought she was extremely nice. I noticed that she was even-keeled and she was never rattled. My coach thought I should adopt this style. You see, I had a bit of a New York City edge. I told Professor Marcus that imitating Miss Ginsburg's style was never going to happen. Professor Marcus never gave up on these comments throughout my training. You see, I didn't go to law school to be nice. I was socialized to be nice growing up in the Midwest, and the best it got me with a master's degree in music from a conservatory was being the head of a music department at an elite private school in Manhattan, where I made $18,000 a year and lived in a single room occupancy and shared a kitchen and the bathroom with 40 other women. I was done being nice. And then at a Women and the Law symposium at Fordham, after I graduated from law school, I met her. The event was packed. See the P. Many, many women and men attended to get a glimpse of the new Associate Supreme Court Justice. This is what I noticed. She was petite, small. She never spoke forcefully, and we had to lean in to hear her, and she never made anyone feel bad about their questions, and she treated everyone with respect. What I realized then was that Justice Ginsburg wasn't nice. She was humble and kind. Justice Ginsburg died on September 18th, 2020, and I was fortunate to be a congregant at Lab Shul, a Jewish temple in Manhattan, when Rabbi Amichai Labadi announced her death in the middle of services. He was weeping. There was an audible gasp in the congregation, and we stood there for minutes. Then he led us in the mourner's cottage. I felt grateful that I was with people that admired her as much as I did. I will be forever grateful for her presence, her leadership, and her work championing civil liberties. Thank you. That was just such a treat and so beautiful. The French horn is such a great instrument, and you play it so beautifully. And the jazz was just was gorgeous. Thank you. So I have slides, but I haven't practiced with the slide lady, Lily. Oh, there I am. And I have to tell you, just to be honest, I usually control my own slides. So it's a little discombobulating to me to have to trust somebody with my slides, but okay, I'm gonna go. All right. Today I will be speaking about a significant court case that was before the Supreme Court on June 30th, 2023, with oral argument on November 11th. The name of the case is United States versus Rahimi. Before I launch into my remarks, I want to be clear about a few things. While I am a lawyer, I am not a constitutional law scholar. My goal is not to give you a complete education in constitutional law analysis or to go on at length about procedural details, but rather to make you aware in the hope that you will continue on to learn about the intersection of domestic violence and United States gun laws. I will make a note about the source material for these remarks. All the source material that I am using is cited in the Supreme Court briefs. If I use some other source material, it will be noted on the slide. We will begin with the facts of the case. They are abbreviated and violent. This is Mr. Rahimi. In 2019, Mr. Rahimi assaulted his girlfriend in a parking lot following an argument. During the fight, Mr. Rahimi knocked her to the ground, dragged her to his car, and shoved her inside. Their child was in the car. A bystander witnessed the incident, and Mr. Rahimi fired a gun at him. The Texas lower court judge issued a restraining order against Mr. Rahimi. The judge found he had committed family violence and that such violence was likely to occur again in the future. The judge suspended Mr. Rahimi's handgun license. Several arrests followed. In May, Mr. Rahimi violated the restraining order because he came to the girlfriend's house in the middle of the night. He was arrested. In November 2020, Mr. Rahimi was arrested after being charged with threatening yet another woman with a gun. There were 5 additional arrests for his gun shootings up until January 2002, including his shooting a gun at a fast food worker because his friend's credit card was declined. Finally, Mr. Rahimi was charged under the federal law that's being challenged, and his guns were taken away. The law, the federal law, is the subject of the Supreme Court appeal. And the question presented, wow, this is fabulous. The question is whether the government can prohibit a firearm possession by a person subject to a domestic violence civil restraining order. So the constitutionality of a law is subject to a standard of review. And this Justice Clarence Thomas, has a unique view of how the Second Amendment cases should review, which was articulated in this case, New York State Rifle and Pistol Association versus Bruin. Justice Thomas's standard that in order for a gun law to be constitutional, it must have a historical analog. What does this mean, historical analog? It's sometimes referred to as originalism. It means that if there was no law in 1791 restricting gun access when the Second Amendment was enacted, then the new law is unconstitutional. This is completely ill-advised because it ignores a very simple concept called context. I would like to demonstrate with a few slides. The Second Amendment to the Constitution was enacted on December 15th, 1791. These are photos of guns in 1791. These are flintlock guns. One is a pistol and one is a musket. These guns were primarily used in 1791 for protection and for hunting to provide food. The important thing to know here is that these guns shoot 3 bullets per minute. This is Mr. Rahimi's gun, one of them, a Glock 17. This is a favorite of law enforcement. It shoots 33 rounds per minute. It is a dangerous firearm. Here is Mr. Rahimi's other weapon. It's called an AR-15. An AR-15 style rifle is a semi-automatic rifle. It can shoot an unlimited number of bullets per minute. AR-15 style rifles have played a prominent role in many high-profile mass shootings in the United States. And here they are. Parkland, Las Vegas, Sandy Hook, Texas, San Bernardino, the Waffle House, Santa Fe High School. So when the founders were thinking about flintlocks and enacting the Second Amendment, so Justice Thomas' argument lacks context and technological advancement that the founders could not have anticipated. But if I haven't convinced you, let's look at another example. Here are the domestic violence laws in 2024. We have the Violence Against Women's Act, VAWA, the Victim Assistance Grant. We have this federal law that prohibits gun possession for people that are subject to domestic violence restraining orders, and 33 states, including New Jersey, has enacted criminal prohibitions on firearm possessions by DV perpetrators. So let's look at the historical analog for domestic violence laws in 1791. What were they? None. Zero. Zero domestic violence laws in 1791. In fact, in 1791, women could even vote. In 1791, the Anglo-American common law's treatment of domestic relations was that a husband had a legal right to subject his wife to physical violence, what was called chastisement, if she defied his authority. Most domestic violence victims are women and children. The word woman is not in our Constitution, nor is it in our amendments to this day. So again, this originalism and historical analog legal analysis standard of review should be abandoned. But there's one more thing. The link between firearms and lethal domestic violence. These are all statistics from 2019 that were cited in the Supreme Court briefs. An average of 70 women are shot and killed a month in the United States by intimate partners. 1 million women reported being shot or shot at by intimate partners in the US, and more than 4.5 million women in 2019 were threatened with a gun. Nearly 2/3 of all domestic homicides in the United States were committed with a gun. Lastly, direct access to guns increases the likelihood of intimate partner homicide of women by 11-fold. So is there any hope? So there is a new standard that was articulated by some justices on the court that includes a common sense approach that argues there are myriad historical laws to disarm people that are considered dangerous. I hope and pray that justices will start to consider this as a standard. There are two questions posed by the justices at oral argument, and these are going to surprise you. Amy Coney Barrett. How does the government go about showing whether certain behavior qualifies as dangerous? So are you suggesting, he says, if there's a sufficient showing of dangerousness, that can be a basis for disarming, even with respect to possession of guns in the home? These questions are taken out of context and can only hint that justices are acknowledging that domestic violence survivors are in danger when a perpetrator has access to a firearm. Whether that will be sufficient to hold this law constitutional, we'll have to wait and see. I choose to have hope. So, many religious organizations supported the argument that domestic violence perpetrators should be disarmed. I was so proud to see that the Unitarian Universalist Congregational Society signed on this brief. This brief is fascinating. I have never read anything like it for a legal proceeding. It's religious and has prayers in it. I invite you to read it online. Here are organizations that are fighting gun violence in America. There are two organizations that we should support: the National Coalition to End Domestic Violence and the New Jersey Coalition to End Domestic Violence. I hope you've learned a little about this case and its importance. I also hope that you will follow the decision and learn more about how we can end gun violence. So let's have hopes and prayers for Scotus. Let's hope they protect our society, the women and children of this country, and all those who suffer from gun violence in America. Amen. So I'm gonna sing something for you unaccompanied in Hebrew, and then I'm going to loosely translate it in a Unitarian way for you as your closing words. Can you play a D minor chord? May the words of my heart, may the words of my mouth have peace. Have peace in the world. Have peace for each other. Amen. Let's end with our final hymn. Number 137, We Utter Our Cry.
I will play it through months.
cry from the pride of a daily seed, the strength to say no to all that is mean, designs bearing gay of extinction of life, of energy wasted on weapons of death. Lift up our hearts for children unborn, give wisdom, O God, that we may anon replenish and tend this good planet Earth, preserving the future and wonder of earth.
After service, there is a budget meeting, town hall meeting. So we will have a brief time to get coffee and snacks before the meeting will begin. Now, let us have our extinguishing words for the chalice. Jay, do you want to come up and extinguish the chalice for us? Oh, you did it? Okay. We extinguish the flame, but may the hope of truth, the warmth of love, and the energy of action burn bright in our hearts until we are together to be. Blessed be.
Amen.